Let's first look at the process steps and your journey towards PMP certification. You need 35 hours of structured project management training. If you get audited, you will be asked to send a certificate of attendance. If you have a university degree, you must document a minimum of 36 months of project management experience. For each project you list, you must write a description of your project management work on that project. The description must be between 200 and 500 words. Fill in all the details in the PMI online application. I will cover this in more detail. Submit the application. You will be notified if you have been selected for a random audit. Otherwise, you should hear of your approval in 5 to 8 business days. This is what the application interface looks like. You will need to enter the details of your 35 hours of training, and your university details if applicable. For each project that you enter, you will need to provide details such as the project name and the project start and end dates. You will see several drop-down menus to indicate the methodology used, the project budget, the size of the team, and a few other items. These items do not impact your approval, and are mostly for statistical analysis. In addition, you will need to describe each project, including the project objectives, your responsibilities, and the project deliverables. You will need to enter a minimum of 100 words, but PMI recommends between 200 and 500 words. Let me show you an example. Here's an example that is approximately 200 words. Note that it describes the project manager role and responsibilities, and the project deliverables. You can also describe the project management artifacts if you like, and any other details. Do not just cut and paste your resume. Once you have entered all the details, you can submit the application. Application approvals can take several days, and as I mentioned earlier, there's a chance you can be selected for a random audit. Let's see what the audit requires you to do. If you get audited, you will need to send proof that you attended 35 hours of training and a copy of your university diploma if applicable. If you already had a CAPM certification, the 35 hours of training requirement is waived. You also need to get your experience verified. This means you need to have someone that is familiar with your experience to sign off the verification forms. They'll be signing a document like the one I am showing you here. That person can be your supervisor, client, sponsor, or even a colleague. While the person signing your forms does not have to be involved in those projects or in those companies, they need to be familiar with your experience on those projects. Follow the instructions provided to send those items back to PMI. And that's basically the audit. Let's turn our attention to the actual exam now. You can take the PMP exam in person at a Pearson VUE testing center, or online from home. If you choose to take the exam at a testing center, you must book it well in advance, because they have limited capacity. Not all cities have a testing center, so availability will depend on your location. The benefit of the in-person exam is that they look after the environment, so you only have to think about the exam. Another benefit is that they give you either a small whiteboard or laminated paper with a marker for your note-taking. The alternative is to select the online remote proctored exam. That means you can take the PMP exam from home. The exam is still very secure as there is a proctor supervising you the entire time. Your camera and microphone must be active, and no notes or papers allowed. Another change has been launched recently for the PMP exam is that the exam is divided into 2 parts. In between the 2 parts, you may take an optional 10-minute break, and that break does not use up your exam time. You must submit part 1 before you can take a break, and after it's submitted, you can no longer make any changes to it. Make sure you budget your time well. It's up to you at what point you submit part 1. You do not want to accidentally lose track of time and use up most of your exam time on part 1. I recommend that you allow for about 105 minutes for part 1. That means you should submit it when there are 135 minutes left on the clock, since the entire exam is 240 minutes. The PMP exam today is very different in style than how it was even a year ago. We recommend that you focus on understanding the project management philosophies, processes, artifacts, and tools, rather than doing any memorization. The days of the brain dump are gone. Please be very careful about receiving the right advice and using the right study resources. There are a lot of products and individuals out there promoting old material, unfortunately. Even expensive courses sometimes don't have their practice questions updated for years. We update our course material and our mock questions every month to ensure we give our students the best and most current information and resources. Use a minimalistic approach. You only need the PMBOK guide, a quality course, and one relevant practice exam simulator. That's it. Please resist temptation to acquire more and more resources. It typically is not a benefit. We have a 97% pass rate, and our students only use our course material and the PMBOK as reference. Are you conflicted about whether to self-study, take a prep course, or something in between? Just like in project management, your decision is one of the trade-offs. If you have a limited budget but lots of time on your hands, then perhaps a self-study option is for you. You will need to invest several months to understand the material and read many resources. Even if you decide to self-study, you should invest a little bit of money in a good exam simulator. Another option is to self-study, but supplement with some e-learning, self-directed courses, books, and/or some coaching and mentoring. This option requires you to invest a little bit more money, but gives you an increased chance of passing, as you will receive additional guidance and understanding than just figuring it out on your own. This method still requires significant time and effort on your part, but the benefit is that you might have an increased chance of passing than self-study alone. You can, of course, take an intensive PMP exam preparation bootcamp that is run as either an interactive in-person course or a virtual course. The benefit is that you will compress your exam preparation significantly, spend fewer hours of effort, and have an increased chance of passing. The trade-off is that it's going to cost more than the self-study option. Let's spend a few minutes on the new PMP exam. You can see in the chart the difference in the domains outlined in the new PMP examination outline. The people domain has a stronger emphasis on the servant leadership role of a project manager. There will be more testing on leadership, conflict management, emotional intelligence, and other soft skills. Within the process domain, much of the tested areas are similar to those from the current exam. There will be some additional topics in this area with respect to choosing the right methodology for your project. The business environment domain is a new area. The focus is on ensuring compliance with internal and external standards, ensuring that benefits and value are realized, and the support of organizational change. The new exam will also have a few more question types. You can expect questions where you're asked to choose two options, drag and drop questions, as well as questions where you need to view an animation and then answer a question about the animation. If you have been thinking about the PMP certification, we strongly recommend you take the exam before it changes, so that you can leverage the existing years of knowledge, resources, and the material that we can use to help you pass on the first attempt.